the court couldn't push forward the judgment because, as I mentioned, the involvement of President Trump and other politicians from Israel. So I think he is, yes, it is exist those issues, and still he may be impeachment, but I think he also again a very clever politician. He is maneuvering and he can, by a way or another, escape from such judgment. Particularly, they are in a time of war, and this is one of the very strong points to Netanyahu. Whenever he being in a weak position, he mentioned that we are in a war, and nobody can say anything except supporting the state of Israel, supporting Netanyahu. For example, if we can suppose that there is a new election coming, how a new election would be run through such a situation and wars, etc. So many things, unfortunately, supporting him, and he is very clever to invest those issues for the favor of him and for continuing in power.
Indeed. Getting to what you raised before, Mr. Osman, and we were speaking about Gaza. Now, what do you have on Netanyahu's prolonging the war in Gaza, overreaching an earlier ceasefire, despite Hamas' willingness to negotiate at certain points?
I think one of the motives behind Netanyahu's keenness on the continuation of the war in Gaza is that his coalition would not collapse, basically, because the members of his coalition, the Itmuz Yahudet party of Ben Gvir, which already withdrew in the second ceasefire, as you remember, did not rejoin the government until Netanyahu resumed his genocidal war against Gaza in last March. And the religious nationalist Zionist party of Smotrich also has threatened on multiple occasions that if Israel agrees to an end to the war in Gaza, that he would withdraw from the governing coalitions. If the ultra far nationalist right in Israel, represented by both those parties and other smaller parties, decide to withdraw from the Israeli government, that means its definitive collapse. It will not even be a minority government. It will collapse and Netanyahu would be out of power. So therefore, he is very eager to appease them and to ensure that they do not divide the ranks and remain inside his government. This is one of the motives behind his elongation of the war. However, that doesn't mean it is the only motive. As we can see, Israel wants, before a ceasefire can be attained, it wants to create the necessary conditions on the ground that will leave no other option for the Palestinians but to leave the Gaza Strip or be forcefully displaced out of the Gaza Strip through the displacement schemes. Barnea, the head of the Israeli Mossad, is heading to Washington as we speak to discuss with the Americans the latest updates on countries that are willing to receive displaced Palestinians. So it seems that this whole process is in motion, and Israel is also preparing to construct the so-called humanitarian city in Rafah, which is basically, as I mentioned before, on your respectable platform, is a large concentration camp. Basically, it's nothing other than that, because it basically prohibits the Palestinians who will enter this humanitarian city. They cannot leave it anymore. They have to stay there indefinitely until they are forcefully deported to some other third country. So it seems that Netanyahu is proceeding forward with these plans, and Israel is proceeding forward with these plans. And even now, the U.S. administration, after saying a ceasefire was imminent, now they are saying, oh, we could reach a ceasefire within 2 weeks. So we keep delaying the deadline for a ceasefire a few days, and then a few weeks, and who knows, maybe then a few months, until these vile designs are realized on the ground. And once they are realized, maybe then the far right would be more agreeable to the idea of imposing some sort of ceasefire in Gaza. So unfortunately, Mona, we are looking at a very, very grim picture in Gaza, which will not be affected in any good way, unfortunately, by the political turbulence happening inside Israeli political circles at the moment.
Well, Dr. Nurhan, what do you have, or what's your comment on what Dr. Osman said here, and which is the greater threat to Netanyahu, losing U.S. Support by continuing the war in Gaza, or losing his far-right allies by ending it? And what are the options here if they differ?
I think I agree with Dr. Osman. If he loses the support of far right, he will come to an end. Plus, that if he also having some peace for a way or another under the pressure of the White House or Trump, etc., to have ceasefire, to have peace in Gaza, I think that also would throw him away, because as I mentioned, the main prominent reason for keeping Netanyahu in power is the wars around Israel, and the moment which is not allowing to some kind of a change, and need what he considered a strong man in power, etc. So if the wars calm down, I think that may also throw him away. Plus, I think he is suffering a lot of diseases. As far as I read lately, that even in his trip to United States, two doctors joined him and accompanied him for many reasons. So who knows? Maybe the solution come from God. There are many scenarios. Nobody knows what is going on. But unfortunately, it seems that he will continue in power for some time, maybe a month or so, but he will continue. And the problem, how far the situation in Gaza would be deteriorated during that month. This is, for me, it is the most important problem. And also how far he would also crushing in West Bank and extend in West Bank through those couple or few months coming. This is the most important we should discuss. But by way or another, he will leave power sooner or later. But how far that he would destroy Gaza, destroy West Bank, having destruction in here and there in Lebanon, Syria, this is the most important thing.